So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
I'm Chelsea Duff, and we also have a special guest here with us, Danny. Our viewers,
Viewers?
they view us sometimes on TikTok and perhaps YouTube and perhaps other platforms. Our listeners might remember you from our Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge episode last year, but would you like to introduce yourself again?
Sure. Hey, Spookies. My name is Danny Dunitz, and don't remember if I said my name last time, but here I am. And yeah, I'm excited to be back. Talk about this fantastic movie.
Danny's an OG member of the Spooky crew. So
Throwback.
It's true. Back when we were using Zoom for safety reasons.
When we couldn't gather in person. So
Yeah.
sad.
And look at us, still not gathering in person.
Look at us, still three of us in the same city and all in different houses on Zoom.
Well, that's just because we don't have the technology to all be in the same room together. You have to have special technology.
Science hasn't progressed.
We
there
don't
yet.
have that. We're not there.
And I'm 3,000 miles away, and it would be boring if I wasn't there.
It would be so rude. Yeah.
If we met live and talked about the movie, like, how would we record it and share it?
There's a way to do it.
What's the point of talking about media if it's not recorded for
Through
posterity?
media. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And everyone must be separated into their own spaces.
Yes, I need to be protected from you guys, frankly.
Yeah.
I need to have my own space to process. And also, if you disagree with me, it's better that we're not next to each other.
I need to be able to slam the laptop closed dramatically, storm off. Yeah.
There has been multiple times where Monica was like, if you weren't across the country, I would kill you right now. How dare you say that? So sometimes
really
I am glad.
There's a lot of why I
Love you, baby.
on this pod.
Why?
Yeah.
But darling listener, do you know what month it is? It is our favorite month. It is a month that we all celebrate. It is Pride Month.
Yay!
Yay! For Pride Month, to kick off Pride Month, I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey. A journey called the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Sighs wistfully.
Do you want to do that again with me doing call lines?
Yeah, Danny, you have like a history with the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I was just like a fan long before I was involved with like putting on the show. I put on the show a lot, and it's hard not to fall in love with it after you watch it. So I'm like, we're probably going to talk about the like what you guys normally talk about, you know, the making of the movie and the movie itself and the contents and the people involved, but I'm way more familiar with the audience participation, like special realm of this movie.
Okay,
that's what makes it
history.
That's what
Big
makes the
deal.
whole movie. The movie is amazing on its own for sure, but what it's created is so much more amazing in my opinion. Well, okay, maybe not more amazing, Tim Curry, but we'll get there.
The collaborative nature of this movie with the audience is part of what makes it so close to our hearts.
Okay, but listener, if you haven't experienced the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it is an actual experience, one,
Truly.
find a midnight showing of it. You have to, you must. I took my boyfriend my senior year of high school to his first Rocky Horror live show. If I was a senior, he was a junior, so he was like 17 at the time. And you know how they
do to him?
Well, you know how they call up virgins, right? For
You
Uh-huh.
can't say what they
virginals?
do though.
Well, I'm gonna do it. And
Oh, they're
I
gonna
know.
get you.
can't.
Maybe I've also
Here's the
never
thing.
been. So
Oh,
What?
Chelsea.
I'm
What?
afraid.
Never
Never
been.
been? Wow, we're
Oh,
going.
come on.
Literally,
Wow.
it's
No,
What are
we're
you
going.
afraid
Chelsea.
of?
You
Whatever
have
they do
to.
to virgins.
It's just
Oh my
fun.
god, it's fine. It's just fun. It's just fun.
You
You
guys
have
said
to.
last time when we were maybe going to go in October that you just wouldn't tell anybody. You'd keep my secret, and then I could just sneak by like a
Well,
normal.
fuck no.
participator. No,
Absolutely
oh
not.
my
If
god!
I ever
No,
said that to you, I take
absolutely
it
not.
back because I want them to do
We
everything
can't.
to
We've been
you.
lied
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
Whatever.
you're gonna
Chelsea,
go. It's gonna happen. Keep
Chelsea,
going,
it can't be
Sydney.
worse than Ben, my favorite ex-boyfriend.
Shouts to Ben. Wow.
Shout outs to Ben. They made him stand on the stage by himself and masturbate a dildo in front of everybody.
See, I don't
That's
want to
the
do
worst.
that.
You
He
don't
didn't
necessarily
either,
have to.
but
do
he
that.
did it.
That's actually the problem is you have to do it.
Yeah. And
You
he
can't.
did
You
it.
don't get to enjoy the experience if you aren't initiated.
It's
Sorry.
funny.
It's funny.
He
It's
still
fine.
to this day is mad about it. And I love
Did he do a good
every
job though?
It
No,
sounds like
he's
he
so
doesn't
bad
have a
at it.
sense of humor.
Wow.
Well, we broke up for a reason, and it was
Because he
his-
did a bad job masturbating the dildo.
he
Yeah.
didn't want to go back to a Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight showing with me.
Did you tell him he
Canceled.
didn't have to
That's
do
so
that again?
stupid. Because you
No.
only have to do that shit
Wanna go
once.
back, but-
No, I want him to do that I want him to be like, you have to do that
I
every
actually would
single
like him
time
to do it until he gets really good at it.
Good at
it.
So
It's meant to be a hint.
Practice makes perfect after all. That's so funny.
was that your first time seeing it though, Sydney? What was your first time experiencing this movie?
I went the first time I was in 6th grade, and it was for my 12th birthday. And me and my mom went into 5 Points in Atlanta, dressed up. Me and my mom both dressed up as Janet.
Amazing.
Janet's cute.
And we were
Cute.
big Janet, little Janet.
Yeah, of course.
Ever since then, I've gone almost every year.
That's beautiful.
I
That's amazing.
love
What about
Rocky
you, Monica?
Horror.
What was your first time seeing this?
So earlier today, I called up the guest that we had on our Chicago episode, aka Lawyer of the Pod, aka my best friend Alex, because she has a full name, but she's also known as the Monica Height historian. Because as you know, as a listener to the podcast, I don't remember shit from my life. So I had some notions about what my firsts were for this movie, and I wanted to fact check my own life with Alex. So after doing my research, I found out I watched this for the first time in middle school with Alex. So it was very, very formative. I watched it more times in high school as well, but I had never gone to a full experience. I was painted up like Dr. Frankenfurter by the makeup crew, by Mackenzie and Katie. And so I have a bunch of pictures of me in the whole look, and it's beautiful. But my first time going to see it live was freshman year of college. I saw it with Alex, her boyfriend at the time, Ethan, my really good friend Kevin from college, and we were so young, so impressionable, and it just like totally blew my mind. It totally blew my mind. It was incredible, and I was really lucky. I went to UCLA, so I was super close to the Newark Theater. Sorry if I'm saying that weird. It's got weird letters, but that's where Sins of the Flesh does their performance, and I don't know if it's still them. They're doing it now. I hope so. And
That's where
Big
we
Slate.
saw it, right?
Yeah, same place we saw it, Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And Sydney and I actually saw it together, and she was also there when my boyfriend Adam, boyfriend of the pod, had his virginity taken from him, which is a very
Uh-huh.
special experience that we've shared.
Exactly. I was
Yeah,
there when Monica's boyfriend lost his virginity.
Yeah, it was really big. It was a big moment.
So special.
What about you, Danny?
I also saw it for the first time at the Newark Theater. I like was looking through I have some of my old camera photos like on some old hard drive somewhere, and I was flipping through them to see because I wore fishnet stockings and like some friends of ours
Hell
that
yeah.
you guys know, their mom's fur coat, and like that I
Oh,
and I also like,
yes.
took an old t-shirt and like shredded it or something. It was like the weirdest look ever, honestly, but I looked like a prostitute, and that's kind of the vibe when you go to
I
That
think
is
it
the
is.
vibe.
and I was also 16, so that was fun. I don't remember. I mean, you must have been able to go underage, or maybe we lied. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
You don't have to. Well, I'd be worried because curfew. So that's interesting. Because curfew, if you're under 16, aren't you not allowed to be? Under
The
18,
people
you're not
running the
allowed to
show
be
just
in the
accept
world.
you into their custody, and they're happy to be
You're like,
your,
I'm your mommy and daddy
de
now.
facto parent for the night. Yeah.
Or
That's
they could
true.
be
That's
like
fair.
me and their parents are like, we're into this, we're going.
That's
Yeah.
also true. Sure.
I'm sure I didn't tell my parents what I was doing that night, but maybe I did because they probably thought it was funny. Who knows? But I had a great time, and then I had seen, actually, that was not the first time I had seen it. Sorry, that was a lie. I mean, that was the first time I went to see it at like a theater, I guess,
At
or
a show, yeah.
with the audience. But I watched it at home when I was like in middle school with another friend that we all know,
Oh
and
my god, you guys are
it
all
was one
seeing
of the people
nipples
who
in middle
did
school.
what?
I said you guys are all seeing nipples in middle school. Scandal.
Yeah,
I don't think I
exactly.
realized how many nipples were there.
The girls Monica, the girls who did your makeup, I watched with Mackenzie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time with both of them also.
Yeah,
In
they
middle
were
school?
evangelists, I guess, for this.
They really were. But it was like 10th grade, and we like did a sleepover. And I asked my mommy, and she was like a
and you
little
could watch it?
concerned. Yeah. And she was on some
Oh
sort of
my
like
God.
message board at the time. I don't remember what it was, but she like asked her mommy friends, like, is this appropriate for 10th graders? And I guess they were all like, whatever. We saw it as teens in the 70s.
They were like,
and
no,
80s.
it's not.
Like, it's fine. So
Actually,
she let me go. And I did
not,
dress
but-
up. I knew not everything about the movie, but I knew enough to dress up like conservative beforehand. And then I knew they like had their clothes ripped off and they had like lingerie underneath. And again, I hadn't seen it yet, and I didn't really know the details. And I think I thought I was doing like a Janet at first, but I realized in hindsight that I was wearing like a button down and khakis, and then underneath I had little metallic gold shorts. So it was really more of like a Brad Rocky moment.
Wow.
Which is iconic. I do love a little drag. And so, I think I'd need to embrace that next time I go to the show. I was telling everybody earlier, I really wanted to be Dr. Frankenfurter tonight, but I didn't have the materials yet. But I think with a little preparation, we could put something together.
Yeah, totally. We just need a little bit more time, a little bit more resources.
We should just have a Rocky Horror party and have everybody come up as a character, and then all the other people can be the like party guests in the party hats and like the weird glasses and stuff like that.
That's perfect. I was just thinking, like, why the fuck haven't Adam and I been Brad and Janet yet?
Our
That's so
friends
good.
Lily
and
and
then
Dan.
strip you at some point in the show.
Or you
Yeah.
could always already stripped. It's like when they first show up, it's a little basic, You kind of have to do the floor show, Brad and Janet.
Oh yeah,
You're right. Just the lingerie,
Which
the
you're
tidy
obviously
whities.
already well adept at,
Yeah, prepared for, given
I've
what you're
got
wearing
all the
now.
stuff. I'm ready. Oh man, I'm so glad we're doing this movie. It was another one where I was exhausted and I was like, I don't want to fucking watch this movie right now. And then I put it on and I was like, everything has changed. My life has turned around. I'm a different girl.
This is healing medicine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't find the picture of me in my outfit, but I did find the diploma that the New Art Theater gives you after you've like graduated from your first
I didn't get that.
Yeah, I just sent it
I
to you.
guess you're a virgin too, Monica.
Wow,
I'll
Monica's
have it
still a
happen to
virgin.
me again. I don't care.
You can just print out the picture I sent you and call it, call it a day.
Yeah, nobody certified this, Danny. Now we know this is official.
But I did literally.
Danny just
scan
photoshopped it
like with a
himself.
scanner because we're old. So I
need you to fax it over to me so I know it's real.
How will I know? Yeah. I mean, come on. Let's fact check here. We're very serious here on this podcast.
We don't say anything that isn't backed up by research.
I also
Well,
have
and
a
here's the
picture of
thing, too.
Chelsea cheerleading, but that's not relevant.
That was relevant for last week.
Yeah, it was relevant last week. We didn't put our material there.
So we're a bit ways into this episode, and if you have never seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, again, what are you doing?
What are
You
you doing?
virgin. You virgin. The IMDb taglog is a newly engaged couple have a breakdown in an isolated area and must seek shelter at a bizarre residence of Dr. Frankenfurter. And while yes, that does happen, I don't know if that's a great description of this movie, because quite frankly, how does one describe this movie?
I think it's the perfect log line because I think you should be unexpectedly shoved into what happens here the same way that Brad and Janet are. Your car broke down on the side of the road. You go to this nearby castle for help. And what comes after that should be a lovely surprise.
I couldn't agree more. I think that this time watching it, and I've seen this movie at least 5 times because I always put it on in the background too. So I've half watched it like a million times. I think this is the first time I figured out what was going on because I took I was not drunk. I was not distracted by people screaming and throwing things. And I was just sitting on my couch, really
we weren't
paying
shaking
attention.
ass in an aisle.
I wasn't shaking ass in an aisle. And I looked up all the lyrics too, and I read them all afterwards, so I could just be like, did I miss any plot points? And I was like, actually, no, I didn't. It just kind of just does its own
like
thing.
That. Yeah, I mean, it is very much kind of just like wiggling its way through a plot, and by plot, it's mostly just like the whims of Dr. Frankenfurter until he's not in charge anymore suddenly. But we're kind of just following his story. But
and that's totally fine with me because whatever he wants does go in my book.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen it before, obviously, but I don't think I ever noticed that that's him in the beginning at the church at the wedding.
Oh, that's all of that.
Riffraff.
All
yeah.
of them.
I was like, is that Riffraff? Is that Magenta? I'm not. It looks similar enough, but I'm not totally certain. But once they like cut to the castle and you see the American Gothic painting itself that inspired their like looks in that moment where they're standing, I was like, okay, yeah. And I think that's just like a very cool little way to like tie it in from the beginning too.
Well, I was confused too because I'd noticed that before, but I hadn't really thought about it. So I was like, I'm gonna think about it and think about why they're there. And then they're like kind of setting up for a funeral, excuse me. And so I thought that they were setting up for Eddie's funeral for some reason, but they like no, they weren't. That doesn't make any sense when you watch the rest of the movie. So I was maybe that's what they were doing. No, it's not. There's no explanation unless Danny knows.
Well, is it like a how Wendy's dad, Mr. Darling, also plays Captain Hook in stage productions and stuff like that? How they just like cross cast it and it's like sort of thematic, but not necessarily like.
I have no explanation. I have no explanation for why they would choose to do that in the film version, other than like other than an ode to the stage version. But it's an Easter egg at this point. I mean, the film. I've never seen the like actual stage production. I've only done shadowcasts, like set to the film. So I'm not sure exactly how different they are, but I assume that the version that they did on stage was probably more coherent than whatever ended up on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a play first, so it was Rocky Horror Show, right? And then they added picture for the movie, and that first happened in 1973. That's when the first production occurred, and it's all written by Richard O'Brien, who plays fucking Riffraff. What an incredible talent.
Yeah.
My God. Also kind of into him after this watch.
I'm into Sydney as him in his riffraff normal stuff, and I'm into him in his like outfit at the end, but that's kind of where I fall on that spectrum. But before we move on, I do want to say there is actually a clue in IMDb trivia. Again, don't know if somebody made this up or if this is real. But it says the dual roles aspect of it is sort of bringing out like the Wizard of Oz illusions in the movie of like going into a different world that's like technicolor and crazy.
Well,
So
They
it's like how
wanted to
Auntie
make
M
the
is the witch, you know?
Yeah.
They wanted to make the whole first segment like before they get into the castle or before Frankenfurter arrives in black and white to mimic that
Ooh.
in the movie. But then I think it's like 20th Century Fox was like, no.
Don't do that. Yeah.
And so that didn't get to work. I would have been
That
sad
would
to
have
have
been so
time
much
warp
smarter.
without color
I thi-
Well, when would the color have kicked in? Surely at the
when
time warp.
Frankenfurter gets there.
Oh,
That's what
yeah. Time warp needs
But
the
maybe
color.
they just
Yeah.
meant like when they get into the house. If it was them getting in the house, but it would be more
They
dramatic
walk
if it
over
was
the
when he.
threshold and the color bleeds into the room.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it would change when they enter the castle.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know. This movie is so nonsensical that you're kind of just along for the ride after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like that choice would have been really. I think that choice would have been really smart if they had made it a more explicit parallel to Wizard of Oz. But
Yeah.
they made the choice they made, where it's like
No.
half of a choice.
They're like, maybe you that like someone says Wizard of Oz, and you're like, oh yeah, I could see that for 5 seconds.
Oh, since you pointed it out, I can almost see it.
That's how I felt with all the research that I did on this. Like I wrote like Rocky Horror after I read all the lyrics to try to be like, what did I miss to make it make a little bit more sense? Because I care this time.
Yeah.
I Googled like plot explained, and I actually found this really great article that I really liked that made all these parallels to like glam rock and how Frankenfurter is actually inspired by Ziggy Stardust, which is David Bowie's character. And like that whole character is just like inspired by Bowie in general. He had just come out as like bisexual like earlier in the 70s before he reneged on that, which was unfortunate. And so he came out with this character, which is like this alien from outer space, Ziggy Stardust. Like, okay, that's what Frankenfurter is. So it's like all based off of Bowie. And then it was talking about like how glam rock burned as hot as the sun. And so it was like a flash in the pan and it didn't last that long as a genre, just like how like the beautiful world that Frankenfurter created couldn't last forever. And I was like, okay, cool. Love that read,
Sure.
honey. Were
Well,
they
guess
thinking that
what?
more than the Ziggy Stardust thing? I don't know, but it was a great read.
Well, that's very fun, but Rocky Horror Picture Show is now timeless and has been playing in theaters pretty much since it first premiered. So
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
eternal now.
Well, briefly not, because it got pulled from all the theaters because it fucking bombed so hardcore at first, which is so crazy to me. But also
Well,
totally makes sense because it doesn't make sense.
It's
And they
so
were-
interesting the way that it happened because that's what contributed to the midnight showings and the only way to keep it in theaters. And it wouldn't have become what it became if they weren't those what they called them werewolf showings. And it's just so
I
funny.
love it.
Like they
It's not a movie to watch in the daytime. It's a movie
It's
to watch in
not.
the depths of night.
That's kind of what they said when they were calling them werewolf showings, is that like,
Yeah.
the audience only comes out at a specific time of day.
Well, yeah, it also added to like what's so like moving about this whole lore and whole cult. Like this is like the first cult film like that had such an insane following. Some say, I don't know. I'm not going to argue about it. I don't know enough. Don't come for me.
I
Leave me alone.
believe you.
I believed me too. And then I was like, well, I don't actually know. People really like
Have not researched this.
from
Yeah.
the 50s. I don't know. Anyway, but like because of that, because it was like the dead of night and there's sort of some like anonymity that came with that, it became like a safe haven for like othered people, weirdos, homosexuals, blah,
Totally.
blah, blah. And so that like led to this like beautiful queer space that this became. Also, the movie is gay as
And this
fuck,
movie's
but,
already
know.
gay as
Yeah.
shit anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously it's gay as shit, which is amazing, and we haven't even started talking about that. But so I have this it's the official Rocky Horror Picture Show book that was published originally in
Ooh.
1979.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, I guess it's kind of a history, but it's a typical coffee table book. But it's cool. It feels like contemporaneous too, because it was published so close to after it was. It's like, and I started reading through it in my research preparation for the pod. And
Let me browse my coffee book.
this book that I've had for like a long ass time.
Yeah, Danny was like, I guess I'll
Like, let me
finally
just-
read this.
Let me just go. and blow the dust off
But
the
they were
cover.
it was saying that like because the show existed already as a stage play, and many members of the cast, Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, Magenta, and Columbia were all from London to Broadway, and then they did the film. There was already, like, even before the film was made, there was already a cult following that was excited to see the film made and like dedicated to, you know, that they were like, obviously you guys read this also, but like they were astonished that like that 50 people in whatever, you know, small markets they were selling in, if it was just New York, LA, and London or whatever, wherever the movie was playing. I think Austin was like one of the weird small markets too. Like if like they show it like once a week at midnight and the same 50 people come every week, they were like, this doesn't make any sense. But why it was like, it reminded me as I was like thinking about it, like of kind of what happened with Megan, that like there was, I wouldn't call that as much of an or like, you know, grassroots oriented campaign, but still it definitely was like an audience momentum driven like excitement to see that movie and to creating a culture around the movie. And this was, if not the first, like definitely like a prototype of like you know, of the momentum a film can have when an audience discovers it. It's like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like the film keep going and going and going if there's an audience that will talk about it.
I'm gonna say something so brave right now.
Say it.
But this, like how people went, they were creating like all the like what you shout back and, you know, the throwing of the rice and stuff. That was the original memification of a movie.
I'm on board.
Oh my God.
I'm on board with that statement.
I was reading up on it, and it's so insane that like the script has been created, because like there's like a whole script of things that you're supposed to call back, and it obviously always changes. Like there's this guy. Oh, I gotta find his name. I think
Everybody's
it's like
got their house rules.
Leave. Hold on, I'm
Schreiber.
looking it up. He needs no.
Oh
God, what's his name? There's this guy, and he's like the guy for being. Oh, Wiesel is his last name. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. I did so much research on this man. Oh, it's only his last name ever. Wiesel. What's his first name? Okay, that's his last name. But he's like one of the guys who like got this, like got the like cult started. Like he would like fly from theater to theater to like host these things because he was so fucking obsessed with it. God love him. But yeah, he was saying that like the script changes even now. They added some Donald Trump shit back when they needed to. Well, people were angry. And so like basically, but there's like a set of things that you're supposed to do. Like you throw the rice, you say
the toast,
buy an umbrella. Yeah.
Newspapers, squirt guns.
Call Janet a slut every time. Except sometimes people don't do that now, but come on.
I love that.
What's wrong with being a slut?
I don't know. Like when I was watching the movie, you know, to prepare for the pod, I can't help myself from doing the call lines and like honestly, the movie, there's so much empty space in the like physical dialogue of the movie that like how could you not have call lines?
It was left for you to add.
Exactly. But they're so off color, like, you know, and they're supposed to be like, it's just, it's so not fun to have to try and do this movie PC, like called a slut. She needs to be called that.
She needs to be called a slut. Oh my God. Yeah.
She is a little slut.
She embraces it at the end. That's the story of the film.
Yes.
This movie is so anti-PC, and I love that for this movie.
I love a lot of PC things. I like making everyone comfortable, but leave Rocky Horror the way that it was. It is fine. Shut up. Don't try to talk about it in that way. I was worried we were going to go into this.
I think it's one of those things that like is, you know, is not PC now if you're trying to sanitize things. But it was so progressive for its time that it doesn't matter whatever the language is. Like it was loving, it was embracing its queer, weird little freak audience. Like it was there to be a haven. And so it gets to exist exactly as it is, and we should never change anything about it.
And it's so hard to police something from 1975 based off of 2023's rules. Like, the words for everything have changed drastically. It's been like, how many years is that? 50 years?
It's almost 50. It'll be in 2025. It'll be the 50th anniversary, and we're gonna go balls to the wall.
Oh,
Crazy.
yeah. 45 was during the pandemic, and people were fucking freaking out. They're like, I gotta do some freak shit, and they couldn't.
But that's the thing. I mean, like, language and culture changes so much faster than the like artifacts that we have of our like own like queer culture. And there's also like, how many times in this movie does they refer to themselves as transsexuals? Like, that's
The
just
whole time.
yeah, that's just not a thing. That's not a word we use anymore, or like should. And it's like totally okay to watch this movie and love it and not have to, you know, we're not the one banning books. Like, we can enjoy the movie without canceling it.
We can have fun. We don't need to retro cancel things when they didn't know the rules then, because the rules didn't exist then.
But I also think, you know, my family is more conservative. And I think the way that this landed with queer audience is not the way that it landed with straight audiences. Like, there may have been cultural pushback at the time, but like, I've used this movie to try and talk to my parents about like transgender issues, let's say, for example, and have been like, this is not a new concept. There literally was a very popular movie in 1975 where he sings, I'm a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Like, he lays it out for you as clear as he can. That was almost 50 years ago. Like, you don't get to be scandalized about this now. When you saw it in theaters at the time, like,
Burrow
I don't know,
out from under the rock.
Yeah, but like, whatever impact it made on straight people at the time, it wasn't seemingly that they can like use this language and blah blah blah. It was like they tried to block it out of their brains, and then queer people went, "That's okay
about the
for
blinders.
us."
Like, the blinders were so high then, or whatever. They were so willful.
Yeah.
No, my dad was deeply involved in, you know, he was like a movie, like a film head or whatever we call them. Like, he was a film bro of the 70s. Like, when
he would have had his own film review podcast back in the 70s.
Oh my god!
Like,
oh my god, bring your dad on the pod.
He did the 70s version of this, which is he wrote film reviews in his college newspaper. And
wow, that is.
And he definitely went to see this movie with his like friends, you know, maybe at a midnight showing, and anything related to the like radical queerness about this movie went right over his head.
Oh my god. They're just like, well, that was an interesting and slightly strange film.
Just didn't register.
What was going on?
They just go about their lives.
That's so crazy.
Oh, it is so crazy to me. Like, were the 70s so wild that this didn't register that much? Or like, did they block it out of their minds? Or like, what happened there?
I don't know, but there was like a bigger acceptance of like pansexuality, bisexuality during that time. Things were like very fluid in the disco era.
There were so many rock stars.
So hot. And then the AIDS crisis came in, and
then everybody got freaked out.
Everyone was fucking terrified. So
but the backlash is always like every, you know, there was a backlash to Ziggy Stardust. That why do you think he reneged?
But
was
also too
pre-Reagan, pre-AIDS, whatever there was discomfort around this.
But also
totally. It definitely wasn't accepted, but it was more prevalent and talked about, and then it went right under the rug in the 80s and kind of.
Imagine if this movie came out now. It would be so absolutely unbelievably protested.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it fucking comes back around again. But okay, the reason I started us on this whole tangent was because I was just trying to say it's crazy that there's a script and there's not rules, but like there's a whole like production that has been created, and it all started before the fucking internet. Like, it was just by like they sent each other letters.
Fucking word of mouth.
They were
lying around.
They were physically calling each other on the phone.
Yes,
crazy.
A brochure. They
a
wrote
rotary
it down.
phone. They had to dial it.
They had to spin it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe
and
even
then-
Telegram. Who knows?
Oh my God. Maybe. Like, how does Telegram work?
Morse code.
Like,
Do-do, do-do-do.
like after she puts the newspaper over her head, stop, yell out, buy an umbrella, stop, stop, or whatever it is. It's meaner than that. What's the line?
Danny, this is
Damn
you.
it, I
What's
put-
the line?
I put my glove back on. I can't use my computer anymore.
I don't know which
I
part
kind
we're
of liked
talking
the
about.
one glove
but-
look, Monica.
Thank you.
Wanna
The
know
other
one of
thing
my
I really
favorite-
wanted. Oh, sorry.
Can I say my favorite thing?
Yeah, say your favorite thing.
Let Sydney speak.
Let me talk.
Sorry.
So the stage performance of this, do you want to know who was like the biggest fan?
Oh my God, I know who you're gonna say.
Princess Diana.
Obviously,
True ally,
obviously.
the ultimate ally.
Ally.
We stand.
Ally.
And
She
That's
screamed
Harry.
gay rights before it was
Yeah.
fashionable.
Yes, she started the trend of asking celebrities to say gay rights.
That's true. That's a fact.
like, love her. She would be so proud of Harry, would be ashamed of Will. You know, Will is
Sad.
not out there shouting gay rights.
Yeah.
Will probably doesn't know any of the fun callbacks.
He doesn't know
for
any
Rocky Horror.
call outs. I bet
Doesn't know
Megan's teaching
any of
Harry
them.
them or whatever. She's a California
Right?
girl.
I
You know
found
they've
this.
gone to at least one.
I found this amazing quote from Tim Curry talking about when he talked to Princess Diana about this. And apparently, like with a wicked smile on her face, she said that Rocky Horror, quote, quite completed my education.
She's so cute. What an icon.
Wink
She's
face.
Perfect.
Wink face.
But yeah, like a
Ugh.
lot of people saw the stage play. Like we were talking about Bowie, and the lore that is there are two lores about like how the call out started. One is how it started like in the movie theaters, and we'll get to that. But during the stage play, like Bowie and his wife at the time, Angela, what's her last name? I don't know. Angela, they're watching the movie, and then there's that part where Riff Raff and Magenta have like everybody at ray gun point,
Mhm.
and Angela screamed out in the crowd, "No, don't do it!" Because I would feel the same way. Protect Frankenfurter at all costs, though he does freaky shit all the time, dubious things. He can do whatever he wants to me. And he should never die. I forgot how sad this movie gets. Also, we don't have to go there yet.
Yeah.
It was so
And
sad.
also-
I was so
Yeah.
sad.
Tear jerking.
Okay. Can we talk about the music
Yes.
in
Yeah.
this movie for a second?
Please.
Because all of the songs are so incredible, but there's like one deleted song.
Oh, what's
And-
the deleted song?
I have it written down. What is it called? It was a
Can
Brad.
you sing it?
I haven't heard it. I just found out about this today. Like I didn't even know about it.
Okay.
It's called Once in a While, and it was sung by Brad after he fucks Frankenfurter.
Once
I
in a
think I
while,
saw
he gets an
that
itch
today.
To fuck a man. Is that what it's about?
Just like being, oh no, what have I done? And they were like, actually, this is a bummer. We are not gonna keep this song.
We don't need
in."
him to have horror when he reflects back on this moment.
Yes.
No.
And also I don't believe that he would. Sorry. I think that unlocked something in him that
Oh,
had
well,
been waiting to be unlocked.
He
I
comes
guess
to
you
terms
might
with it
do
by
that
the
anyway.
end.
Yeah.
Considering Janet's reaction to like hooking up with Rocky, it seems like Brad would really have his mind blown hooking up with Frank.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
so lucky. That was very hot to me. But I read the whole lyrics to that song today because it was in the list of songs. Well, I linked all the lyrics in case you want to know what you were hearing.
Of course you do.
And I read this and I was like, why can't I sing this in my head at all? So now it makes sense. But it's like, yeah, it's a fucking bummer. It's really a bummer. So baby, don't cry like there's no tomorrow. After the night, there's a brand new day, and there'll be no pain and no more. So, oh, this is happy. And so wash your face and phone my place. It'll be okay. What? I don't understand. Is he like trying to talk to Janet? It sounds bad. Glad they cut it.
It
Seems like
does
they
sound
made
like a
it real
breakup
bad there.
song.
Yeah.
I
Do
wonder
you
if it was
know
in the
if they
stage
sang it in
production.
the stage version?
Yeah, that's my question.
It must be from that, because why would it exist?
I
Well,
didn't know, but I do know that they added, like, for the movie, they wrote extra songs. And I don't know which ones were like movie added songs or play songs.
It's a
Really?
really short show. I don't think it makes a lot more sense than the movie, but it does.
Yeah.
I knew that they added songs for the movie.
Yeah, because the show was like 40 minutes and then they were like, we need another song. And then they added fucking Time Warp to it. Like that was a late ad. I don't know if that was for the movie or for the stage play.
That was in
don't
the
know.
stage play. I pulled up the Wikipedia page. so
Okay,
I'm
that's
looking
what
at it now.
I thought. So that's been as part of it. And I have to mention this. This movie made such a like, especially going to see it live, made such a like mark on my soul. And when I joined UCLA radio, because that was like my whole steez and my whole identity in college, I had a radio show. What was the name? Oh, wait, what was the concept of the radio show? We went back in time every week to a different year and only played songs from that year. What was the name of the radio show? Time Warp.
Time Warp.
What was all of the advertising that I did for the entire thing? Pictures of Frank, pictures of Magenta, pictures of Columbia. Like the entire show was Rocky Horror like themed. Not that I was playing Rocky Horror music, but this
Just your
shit
advertising,
slapped.
your marketing campaign.
But
Oh, yeah, it was.
Time Warp is the most like marketed song from the
Oh, yeah.
soundtrack. I mean, I heard the song long before I knew it was even associated with this movie. And it, obviously the lyrics kind of have like nothing to do with it. So
Yeah, I
No,
feel
it's
like
just
very
it's
much
like
a
Cha Cha
radio hit.
Slide.
that's what I was gonna say. I feel like Time Warp has entered the same pantheon as like Cha Cha Slide, and there's like
Yeah.
one or two other ones that get
It's
played
like the
at like
Hoedown Throwdown.
Cupid.
parties and
Cupid
it's
Shuffle.
exactly like the Hoedown Throwdown.
It's exactly like the Hoedown Throwdown. It's like the Macarena. It is.
Mhm.
The
They
Cupid
literally have a
Shuffle.
diagram to show you how to do the dance. It's very easy to do.
Just a
It made
joke.
me want to do. I know. The bend is up to the right. Wow. We need
Hands
to
on
like
your
play it
hips.
really loud
And
and
put your
dance.
knees in tight. And do the
Is it
pelvic
pelvic
thrust. Let's do the time warp again.
That was really beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You
keep that in.
sing it all.
Keep that in.
Thank you.
That's the song.
It's so good. I mean, all the music in this is so good, and I like. I want to sing it all the time. It's like, how
Here's
do you
the
not sing it this whole episode?
I sing science fiction double feature all the time in my head. It's so good. And it's Richard O'Brien singing and it's Magenta's mouth moving. And it's like everybody thought it was her voice. And they were like, what?
I think that who what's the name of the actress who plays Magenta?
Patricia Quinn or something.
Patricia
like that.
Quinn. In the stage play, she does sing that song. And then for the movie, they
Oh.
had Richard sing it, and she was fucking pissed off.
Sure.
I bet
She's
you
like,
were.
what
That's
the
actually my
fuck?
thing.
That's like my whole C's.
I
Because that's like
guess
would have
when he
been her
writes it.
song. Does she really get her own song? She doesn't get a lot of
No.
solos.
But Riff
She
doesn't
doesn't
really have
get
his own song
A
either.
lot
And Richard wrote
at
it.
all. Yeah.
Well, he sings Time Warp a lot. He's got a lot more
What does
words.
she?
in
She
Time
has her
Warp.
own verse in Time Warp.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like he leads it. And then he also gets
No, it's
that verse
Riff,
at
Magenta,
the
and then
end.
Columbia. They each have their own verse.
And then it's
Okay,
the
fine.
weird people.
Fine. He just introduces everyone.
Yeah,
He gets his
starts
whole
it.
other song.
Okay, he
and-
wrote it. Like, are you complaining that Lin-Manuel Miranda
No.
is in Hamilton too much?
Right.
Well,
Don't talk to
I
me
am
about
actually
Lin-Manuel
complaining
Miranda.
that, but
Please don't talk to me about Lin-Manuel Miranda. We can't go on that
We do
tangent
not
right now.
speak
He
his
gives
name on
me
this
the
podcast.
I hate to really sully this conversation by going there. I think my favorite song is Hopatootie. Just like the meatloaf of it all is
Oh,
yeah,
so
the meatloaf.
relevant. Yeah, and Meatloaf had in prior stage productions played both Dr. Scott and Eddie. And I don't know
Ooh.
if they let him choose or if they forced it upon him, but he
I don't think he was in the stage play, was he?
yeah,
Yeah,
he was,
a couple
he was
times.
in both. He was in London and in New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And at one point,
he
he had to do an emergency fill in for Frankenfurter.
Oh,
Oh
sure.
my
Sure.
god.
I'm sure he
That's so
participated.
amazing. Well, he was
and-
really bummed that he didn't get to do both in the movie.
Yeah, probably. This was Tim Curry's first film role ever.
Yeah.
Can we talk
That's
about
so
him?
crazy.
I need to talk about him.
Yeah, I guess
Okay,
I
let's
didn't
do
want
it.
to talk about music, and I went right into the cast. But Meatloaf
No.
is both casting and music.
It is.
It is, and he's so good. And
And
R.I.P.
Tim
I-
Curry's
oh,
singing, voice of an angel.
Totally.
he sounds beautiful. Okay, wait. Okay, before we go to Tim Curry, then, if we're talking about Meatloaf, just really quickly, did you know? Because I didn't, and I had to look it up. The whole thing with him is that the reason he has the cut on his forehead, I thought that they had tried to kill him and he didn't die. They took out half of his brain and they gave it to Rocky. Had no idea until this time. Didn't know until I looked it up. Had no clue at all. Had no
Like,
idea at all.
say that
The
line
song
in the movie,
gives you
and
no
you just went,
information.
I don't know what they're saying right now.
I didn't hear it. I was watching it. I did not hear that part
I
at
wrote
all.
it down
I
in
had
my
no
notes.
clue.
That was one of the quotes I transcribed.
Monica,
I
you
think
cannot be blamed. There's like they don't make it easy to follow.
I literally,
Yeah.
I had to like go on Wikipedia and be like, what happened actually? And then I was like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
then there was,
It's because the song is so good, but he's literally busting out of a freezer, and you're kind of like, what am I
why
supposed to
is
be
he in
paying
the
attention
freezer?
to?
Yeah.
oh my God, wait. What was, is
They put him in the
Hapatootie
deep
the song that I'm
freeze.
thinking of?
Yeah.
And
Patootie, bless my soul. I really
Yeah.
like it, rock and roll.
but they don't reveal that part until like way later. When
Yeah,
Columbia is
after he
finally turning
murders
on
him.
Dr. Frankenfurter and is like shouting at him. And then he afterwards is like, ugh, Rocky's behaving just the way that Eddie did. Do you think I made a mistake splitting his brain between the two of them? So that's the link.
Okay, the thing I was gonna say is about Rocky's song, so we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
But
In just
Yeah.
7 days, I can make you a man, or when Rocky sings.
when Rocky sings, the
Ah,
song
His
is
beautiful
called,
voice just coming out of him. Yeah.
so it's called Sword of Damocles, and I've never understood. I've always just been like, what? I have no idea what's going on the entire time. Just completely shocked. So I did some Googling and I found out what it was. And it's a thing from Greek mythology. And Damocles was a courier in the court of Dionysus, hot party god, which fits this whole theme. And he was like, Dionysus, your life is so good. Can't I be you for one day? And he was like, yeah, totally. And so he was like having a great time. There are all these people giving him food and all this stuff. Then he looked up and he sees this sword. It's the sword of Damocles. What does that mean? It's a sword that sat above Dionysus' head that was held up just by a hair. And it was like about how it's so great to have everything that you could ever want, but when you are in power, you could be killed at any time. And I was like, wow, this song is about that. And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Now that I know
it
the
is.
context.
Especially
I had no
when
idea.
you have it in context of having half of Eddie's brain as well.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Columbia kind of lays it out later, like in her whole speech. She says, first you spur me for Eddie, and then you throw him off like an old overcoat for Rocky. You chew people up and then you spit them out again, blah, 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 blah. But it's like you're Frankenfurter's favorite until the second that you're not. And
Yeah.
the sword is hanging over you the whole time. Like you're on top,
Yeah.
but you're gonna hit the bottom so fast, so hard.
And
You're not
you'll
gonna see
probably
it
die.
coming. Rocky's the only one who's like really voicing that in like a really beautiful way. Also.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There are a lot of smart things in here that I had to stop and like Google and be like, what is that? Who is Lily St. Cyr? Like, who is Charles Atlas? Who, by the way, is a bodybuilder, and kind of like invented modern bodybuilding. And so that's sort of the reference with Rocky and all of his muscles, and then also the
And the
Atlas
song.
holding up the world stained glass in their little bedroom.
Yeah.
Just like lots of references going on here just to pick up on in the set design, which is so cool.
This movie is such a thinky, you know?
It is a thinky.
Such a
It's like,
thinky.
don't think, just let it play at you, but also once you're ready to think, we've got little Easter eggs for you to find.
They really said, don't dream it, be it, you know?
They
Like,
did say that
They said that like quite a few times.
a
and
few
it's
times,
So true.
once or
Yeah.
twice.
so true, bestie.
Okay, now let's talk about Tim Curry. I've been preparing for this episode for 3 weeks because I've been regressing as I do from time to time. And I've been binge listening to the Series of Unfortunate Events books on audiobook. And did you know that Tim Curry voices like not all of them? And the guy who is on the books that's not him sucks so bad in comparison, but most of them. So he just has been whispering in my ear for 3 weeks leading up to this. And damn. Also didn't know he was Nigel Thornberry until today, but does that make sense? Yes, it fucking does. But he
Tim Curry in this movie is so sexy.
Oh my God.
It's
What
just
is the
like
text I sent Adam today?
he
Be more like Tim Curry.
That's what the subtext
I want
was.
in a man.
To be clear, that was fully what the subtext was. I said,
thank God Adam doesn't listen to the podcast, so he'll never get that subtext.
I will tell this to him when I see him tonight. I said, Adam, I'm so horny for Tim Curry and Rocky Horror. And then I also sent a text
Me
to
too,
the.
baby.
He said, what did he say? He was like, LOL, love it. Or something like that. Oh, he said amazing. He's so supportive. And then I said to the girls earlier that I think that Tim Curry is in this movie makes me the most randy of any person I've ever seen in my life. And I
really
stand
like the
by
word
that.
choice of randy.
Yeah, me too.
I also said that to my therapist today. I was like, by the way.
Just a little something for you to think about later. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing.
To know.
I actually also talked about this with my therapist.
Oh my God, you guys. Cute.
Because I watched it right before I went to therapy and Pilates. And I was like, okay, this is all we're going to talk about. So I was like, have you ever seen Rocky Horror? We're doing it on the pod. You should watch it and do it. And then I was like, do you think that this movie changed my brain when I saw it at a young, mere 12 years old, when my brain was so impressionable?
Maybe.
Hila said that to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Is this one of my roots?
I mean, I was
saw
around
Rocky
that age
Horror
when I
Picture.
saw it. I think it changed me.
It's just like radically shifted. And here's the one thing too that I will say. This is the gay agenda. This movie is the gay agenda.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It absolutely is. When every time a conservative is like, this is the gay agenda. And I was like, oh my God, you've seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show as well. Like, I think that's just going to be the new.
Just for the record, my gay agenda is getting all of my queer friends into a castle that is also a rocket ship and blasting off into space.
With
That
a pool
like
on stage.
Yeah.
Like, there's a pool stage and everybody's dressed in drag and having freaky sex.
Everybody's
And
getting
it's
their
raining.
nails out or just
required.
almost out.
Pasties required, yes.
When you put it in that way,
Fishnets
Danny, I
over the
really
place.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking for this level of hedonism in my daily life. And I try to encapsulate that at the parties that I throw. And it's gotten close, but never to this level.
No one
That's
is
because you
able
don't
to
have a
match you.
pool.
I know it's because there's no pool and I don't have a smoke machine that works. It's broken.
We can fix that.
I need to buy a new remote for it. Actually, that's the only thing that's
Get you a
broken.
little kiddie pool.
How's your
Tell Adam
laser?
to
Do you,
build
do
you a
you, do you have a
tub.
laser gun?
I should get it. Well, the laser gun was an agent of death and chaos, so I don't want that at the party. That ended the
It shoots
hedonism.
pure
Danny, did you watch
antimatter.
the movie?
Look, it's not the
Don't
gay
want the
agenda
gay
if someone
gun.
doesn't attempt a coup.
That's so real.
So true. God damn it. Oh, but it's just he is just so magnetic and so incredible and like to be able to like do something like on stage so effectively that everyone went insane and then translate it into like film because it's a really different medium. And this is like you're saying his first act. Was it his first film role? Did he do TV or anything?
No, yeah, his first on-screen role, but he had done several West End. Like he played Prison Furter on the West End and Broadway, and he was on Broadway and something else. I think he was also on the West End and something else.
So he's done a bunch of theater.
Yeah,
because there's so many things that he
And he
does
did
with
a
like breaking the.
his I don't know when his debut recording album came out, but he was also recording at this time too. Like
need to
he was
listen
already
to
in
it.
operas. That's what it was.
Oh, okay, I need to listen.
He has
to
a
his
voice
music
of
'cause
an
I've never
angel.
listened
Yeah.
to it besides the music from this, but yeah, what I was gonna say, he does all these these amazing like tiny movements like with the camera. He's like flirting with the camera and breaking the fourth wall at all these perfect, like incredible times that just like, especially if you're Randy for him, it feels like he's coming out of the screen. It's like fucking Samara or whatever from The Ring, except sexy and hot and good.
And just for you.
This can be said for so many different iconic performances across time, but he just has made this role like because of the fact that he had done it so often before this, or for such a long time before this.
Yeah,
he just obviously made it so his own, and like when he was able to be doing it in the film, it was just there. I don't know if another person could have like been this character in the way that he did it, just because of the intimacy he already had with the character. And it makes me, I mean, like I can only relate, you know, I always go back to my own experience with like putting this up. And there was an actor the actor who played Frankenfurter was the year ahead of me at my school. So I know that that performer played Frank all 4 years they were in college, but because I was the year below them, I watched them do it for 3 years. And by the time they were like they were seniors getting ready to graduate, they were so like no one else, you know, we were so worried about whoever would have to play Frank after them because they did such a good job with it. They were so confident. Like that is what like Randy making about like this performance is that Frankenfurter is so confident, and JoJo did such a good job. And now you can catch them. They're like a really awesome Bushwick drag queen now. Baby Love, look them up, Baby Love, and they're super successful. They have a drag show called Fagtasia, and
oh my God,
Rocky has been so influential on that. I don't know why I'm pitching them to the listeners.
No, you should.
No, but they should know.
Like the lips, like they have their most iconic look is she has these lips that are the Rocky lips, and the whole thing is like a jet black bodysuit, but then the lips like are huge around
wow, that sounds so awesome.
Her head and stuff. It's so cool. And then she, you know, whatever, she's just like talked a lot about her like experience playing this role and how it like was her foray into drag and stuff. And anyway, I just think that like that relationship is so, I'm sure my friend Baby Love and Tim Curry and countless other Franks across the world who have done this for so long are probably the ones who are so good at it, because it's like they've just spent time with it and they like know how to like,
you gotta live in it. Yeah, because that's what's so sexy about him, right? He's like something that Janet and Brad had never seen before, right? And he is so comfortable in his skin, so comfortable in that corset, so comfortable in that beautiful blue eyeshadow. I tried to get close, but you can't do it. With those eyebrows, the pointy eyebrows. Oh my God. It's really just gorgeous. Like, oh, and he's just like flirtation embodied and personified. It's just like everything he does is sensual.
The seduction scenes with Brad and Janet in the bedrooms are so funny to me. They're so good. First of all, I don't know why Janet's is like a sexy red room and then Brad's is like normal colors. But that aside, other than setting the mood, which I think is important, it's just like, it's so funny. I mean, obviously he's coming in disguise, but even once he reveals himself, they're so taken with him that like, even though they sort of try to resist, you can sort of tell they're like only medium trying. And I love that he uses like the same move on both of them to like hoist them by the legs. He just so good. He's like, I know it works on everybody and it's made to feel like a delicate little rag doll. And then I you know, he's clearly a giver. I think everybody has a good experience with him. It's so fascinating. The language he uses is so fun. Janet says, I was saving myself, and he's like, I don't think you're spent yet. Like, he's his charm.
He's got the riz.
Sorry. Oh yeah. As the young folks would say.
To translate this for our Gen Z listeners.
That said, he's not saving like any of it for Rocky. That's crazy. He's giving Rocky almost no riz. He's just immediately being like, well, I created you, so I don't have to put in the work to seduce you. Yes, you do. He looks afraid of you. You had to chain him to your bed. Come on, Dr. Frankenfurter.
Okay.
I know you can do more than that. I know you have it
I
in you.
agree. But do not forget the part when Frankenfurter goes absolutely fucking feral as soon as Rocky is born. And it's like chasing him all around and he's like unhinged. He's like, ah!
That's not
like
seduction,
licking
girl.
his heels.
Gone. He's just like, Randy.
He went feral, yeah.
Yeah. I think, okay, is the water supposed to be like a rainbow? Because when I watched it this time, I don't know, the color on my TV is fucked up. And to me, I was like, it's the trans flag. I was like, oh my God. And then I looked at it later on my computer because I watched this in 2 sittings and it was rainbow. And I was like,
rainbow.
It's rainbow.
okay, well, I was high. So
The water said gay rights. Okay.
It is absolutely. Yeah, I put in my notes.
Wow.
He's making Rocky's womb all gay, smiley face. And then I wrote gay skeleton at the points where you can see his X-ray.
Definitely not the specifically trans flag, but I love that that's what you saw.
I really saw it. I was like, wow, I've never noticed that before. How cool.
No, but that is the literal embodiment of the gay agenda baptismal pool.
Yes.
I think, you know what I mean?
You must be in drag, in a corset, dunked in a stage pool, a rainbow stage pool.
Yeah.
It's the gay agenda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually how gay people are born.
That's
like,
how we're all born. Yeah.
That like Rocky, we have to
remember that?
be mummified. You guys remember when you were doing
Yeah, you remember?
I remember being
so
demummified and then choosing, because you know, being gay is a choice, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember choosing to jump in that pool.
Exactly.
Okay, I need to make a quick correction because it's not demummified, it's de-medusa'd, which continues the Greek mythology thing because they're turned into
mummified.
statues.
Well, yes, there is that, but the mummified at the beginning of the
you're
movie.
talking when Rocky's mummified. I'm sorry.
I briefly thought about. I didn't want to waste 2 rolls of toilet paper, but I almost
but you
grabbed
thought
myself.
about doing the
Oh my God, the reveal.
That
was
great.
very environmentally friendly of you to make a different choice.
I wish you had done it for this audio medium.
Audio medium.
We haven't done a good costume reveal as a video clip in quite a while, so would have been something to consider.
Well,
sorry, scary car went by my house real loud and I felt fear. Anyway, what's up?
I'm afraid.
We can still do like pictures of maybe we can all take a picture of ourselves in our costume, and that can be its own standalone post in addition to the clips.
Oh yeah, 100%. We have to do that, including you, Danny, in your sexy tank.
And you can be like, ooh, do like a little muscle guy.
We've got to find our old pictures.
My best Rocky.
Because we have like James as Meatloaf and Adam as Brad and Alex as Magenta.
And I did not choose to be Janet. Instead,
I was Janet and you were
Janet. Yes, that's right. You were Janet and I was Columbia, as it makes sense to be. You don't always have to be in a couple's costume. You can just be a couple in costume.
They were in a couple's costume.
But you want to know?
It's Sydney's boyfriend. They were in a couple's
That's
costume.
true. It's true. It was before the pod, but it was written in the stars.
One thing that I love, the weird, something that I think House of Wax rips from this movie.
Interesting.
Is
Continue.
that Riff Raff and Magenta are brother and sister. And they're like all over each other this whole movie. And that is very House of Wax of that.
Do we think that Riff and Magenta are twins like they are in that movie?
Oh,
it makes sense to me.
I think so.
I think so. They look about the same age.
They look a lot alike, don't they? Don't they look a lot alike?
They look exactly alike.
The same. Also, something I didn't realize, twofold. One, that they are eating Eddie. Didn't get that until now. Babes, I'm sorry. At that point in the film, I'm gone.
So,
So,
so
at
let
that
me-
point in the film, I'm gone.
no, I have to interject because at that point in the film, I'm in. That's like when I really come alive. That's my favorite call. First of all, a prime example of nobody talking in this movie, like ever. So when they're all sitting around the dinner table, that's one of my favorite call lines. And like I'm, as you guys might know, like every place that does the live shows has probably their own more specified call lines, and like the college theater group that I put on the show with for 4 years, like we had very specific, like my college, specific call lines. So
Oh, I love it.
know if they are this, like the ones that I know like are really fun to do with my college friends because they all know them, but like when we go to like the new art, like they like there's a bunch of, everyone has their own anyway. So during the
House
dinner
rules.
scene, he's starting to use the electric carver to cut up Eddie, and it goes, it's the Black & Decker Pecker Wrecker. It slices, it dices, it circumcises. My skin folds over my 2 skin. My 2 skin folds over my 3. My 3 skin folds over my 4 skin. I peel back my foreskin to pee. Peel back, peel back. I peel back my
This is
foreskin
long.
to pee. Peel back, peel back. I peel back my foreskin to pee. And you get to do all that because no one is talking in that scene.
So amazing.
You just have like Rocky eating with his hands, Columbia next to him being like,
you
fork
have
and knife.
there are other call lines for that moment. Like there's so much dead space in this scene.
I
Yeah,
don't
the
say
only-
that it's because I don't like it anymore at that point. It's because I've drank enough secret wine from my flask at that point that things get a little fuzzy. That's what I'm trying to say.
Didn't you fall asleep that one time?
Oh my God, it was so nerve-wracking, but luckily no one caught me, so it was fine. But it
What
was
did they
so
do when you
nerve-wracking.
fell
I
asleep?
get sleepy late at night, okay? Sue me.
I was like shielding Monica and like holding her
Don't
head
get
up
her.
every time somebody would walk.
Just
I was like,
making a
Cindy, I
break.
need you to wake me up.
I was on keep Monica awake duty.
It is a
Devastating.
subtle reveal though in the movie. Like the only clue they really give at all is he says about Eddie, quote, that's a rather tender subject, which is sort of like, oh, he's cutting up a tender cut of meat.
Haha.
And Columbia gets it and screams and runs out of the room, and nobody else. Everybody kind of slows and
Yeah.
stops a little. They're like, something funky is going on here. It's not until like the tablecloth pull, coffin reveal, Eddie with his organs on the outside in some parts that I think you're really meant to make the connection yourself. Exactly.
Yeah, as the call line goes, Frank's line is, that's a rather tender subject. The call line immediately after is, that's a rather tasteless joke.
Ooh, there you go.
That's so fucking good. I also never put it together until like I think subconsciously maybe, but like I've seen Scary Movie 2 and I just didn't get that was supposed to be Riff Raff, the guy with the little hand.
Oh, I guess that
I
is
never got
supposed to be
that.
riff raff.
And he's carving the turkey. It's
Yeah,
a
I
little
just-
hand.
Never got that.
I think the
Never.
staging of that scene is what makes it a parallel more so than anything.
Yeah. But he's cutting it. The little hand is just something that they added in to be fucked up.
Sure.
That's not from Rocky Horror, to be
No,
clear.
it's not.
Oh man. What's your favorite song
Hot Patootie.
from the movie, to be clear? Yours is Hot Patootie. You said that. What
Yeah.
about y'all?
And thank you.
I mean, Touch Me is really good, and I love that one. I like Sweet Transvestite, but I think maybe Damn It, Janet? I don't know. Like, I love that they're in the background. And I don't know. I love during Touch Me, when you are watching Magenta and Columbia watch it on the screen, and I love them like chiming in, and I love
Yes.
Columbia like stroking Magenta's leg in the background. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in general, for sure.
Yeah.
They're just having like
Mine-
a little girly sleepover moment. They're girlfriends to me, so
They are.
I
Mine's, like,
love
tied.
science fiction double feature.
Oh, you and Alex.
I know. It's so good. Damn it, Janet is my second favorite one though.
I like
do
Tide,
Monaco.
touch me, and Sweet Transvestite. Those are my two
Papa
favorite.
Tootie is a good one though.
I
Only
was a
because
sucker
they
for
say
Meatloaf, I
patootie.
think.
I'm
Papa
also a sucker for
Tootie,
Who could
Meatloaf.
that's
blame
my
you?
song.
What an amazing stage name.
And
Of
then
course.
Or what
I
an
think
amazing.
over at the what is it? The
Over
Frankenstein
at the
Palace is
Frankenstein
underrated.
place, there's
There's
a
a
light.
Like, I think it's underrated.
Now that I'm
Oh.
thinking about it, sorry, to go back to something from one moment ago, the fact that his name is Meatloaf and he's getting cannibalized, he is the Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have picked it up on it sooner, you know? Maybe
He
that was
lived
a
his
clue.
whole life for that moment.
The layers of irony are just slathered on.
He was prepared.
This is so tangential, but my favorite Meatloaf fact is that he wrote It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion. And if you listen to that song, it sounds exactly
Exactly like
song.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah, he it was
Wow.
originally going to be on Bad Out of Hell 2, but then he was like, nah, so I'll give it to Celine.
Celine can have
R.I.P.
it. She has no bangers, so I'll give her this one.
I'll give her this one.
I'll be really generous with
There's
Celine.
a video on YouTube of him singing it with some like Swedish artist or something, and it's kind of, you're like, oh, everything makes sense about this.
You're like, yeah, this tracks.
Yeah.
You know something that doesn't track for me in this movie? Maybe I just miss it earlier on, but near the end, when all of a sudden Magenta has a very strong accent, I'm always like, did she have that the whole time?
No, the call line there is, I grow weary of this accent. And then she releases the accent.
Sure.
Well, maybe she was being her full self now that she had the hair and she had a new outfit on. And before she was doing something different.
She wants to go home.
I always assumed that the idea was that they have the accent originally and they like put on an American for like being on Earth and she's like, slipping into her natural, but she doesn't really keep doing it.
She just does it for like, yeah, okay, I remember that call line now. Oh, wait, really quickly. This fun fact made me really mad. Did you know that Mick Jagger asked to play Frankenfurter in the film? And they were like, shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. Get the fuck out of here. You think you could do what Tim Curry is doing? Think again. Stay in your lane.
Tim Curry cited Mick Jagger as one of his inspirations for making the character.
That's true, but it would have been too on the nose. Would have been
Did you
too
know
on the nose if he had done it himself, and he would have done it bad.
He would have been bad. I agree.
But Monica, did you know that because they wanted American actors, your close personal friend Steve Martin auditioned for Brad?
I know, and they turned him down because the guy who got it had just won a Tony or something he had just received a Tony nomination for creating the role of Danny Zuko in Grease. Very coincidentally, that fact was right up on my notes right now, so I could read it.
And also, he was dating Susan Sarandon at the time. In real life.
Oh.
That's fun.
That is
and
fun.
She had pneumonia the entire time filming this because the stupid like castle that they were filming in was so cold and so wet that she was like deathly ill the entire movie.
I did.
Yeah, one of the IMDb
and she still
trivia
slayed.
entries says filming took place from October through December in Bray in England, which is near Windsor. And Barry Bostwick, who played Brad, I think, claims he was always wet during filming because the castle had a leak. There was one, quote, warm room filled with space heaters where cast members took turns warming up until the room caught on fire. So
you hate to see that happen.
I hate to see it happen.
Also, there was no working toilets in the house.
Good.
Yikes.
Great. They were under
really
insane
put everything
conditions.
into their art. That's so crazy.
You just have to suffer for good art, you know?
Yeah.
So true.
I mean,
they did it all for Princess Diana.
It was like a $1 million
Rightfully
budget, which was very low. So they clearly
for a castle. That's crazy.
Apparently it's a hotel and you could stay there now.
Oh my God.
That's cool.
Spooky
stay in the
Tuesday
rocket room.
road trip.
Yeah.
I'm very interested.
I hope they have like a live time warp performance every night, like midnight
would.
Fucking
hour.
better at the witching
The
hour.
clock strikes midnight. Everybody time warps and then
Yeah.
goes to
I
bed.
mean, time warp optional, but they will be performing it every night at midnight.
Yeah.
No, everybody has to get out of their rooms and come do the time warp and then immediately go to bed. Like
If you
go to
don't
the
come
room.
out of your room, that's fine, but we will turn on the camera that sees into your room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crucial. Yeah, of
And then
course.
we're all gonna touch our lesbian lovers while we watch you.
Yeah, me
Good.
especially.
Yeah. Sign me up, baby.
Oh my God. Okay, well, do we want I know we haven't talked about the plot that much, but it doesn't exist and it's not real.
The plot does not
Um,
exist.
But I
It's
do
not
want to
real.
talk about the ending a little bit because I felt emotional feelings.
Yeah. I also did love the end song, the Rose Tint My World song, where they're all
Yeah.
like they've been Medusa'd, they've been de-Medusa'd in their new stage get-ups, in their Dr. Frankenfurter inspired outfits, where he's dressed them all up fantastically. I love all of their little verses in there, but I especially love Brad just being like, help me, mommy, and like I feel
Yeah.
sexy, like
Sexy.
feeling himself in that
Sexy.
outfit.
Yes. I
Um,
like that part
so
because
fun.
obviously Frankenfurter has some unconventional means, but I feel like besides Columbia, because she has experienced a lot of trauma, and so I'm not going to include her in this because she watched her boyfriend die. But they have like connected with their sexuality in a way that has freed them from the chains of society, and they feel more confident now. So I did like that part. I'm like, see, it's better to not be repressed. Amazing.
I love the floor show. I think that each like it's just such a fun ending. But the ending to this movie is like, pardon the pun, rocky to me. It's like because you go right from this fun, like joyful, exuberant, floor show right into like Frank's aria and then his murder. It's just so like
Oh
we
my
go
God,
from
the
this
murder's so
high
fun.
to what?
No, the murder's so fucked up. No,
Oh yeah, I know. And
yeah,
it's
sorry.
like
Keep going.
it's so melodramatic. Like I
Yeah.
almost wish the floor show was the end of the movie and there's not like 15 more minutes after it. But I love Brad's verse and they all look so sexy in their
They
outfits.
do.
Yeah.
I love the weird makeup. I did my best.
It's so fun.
No,
Do any of y'all
it's
so
amazing.
fun.
It's not weird at all. They look like they're doing vaudeville. They look like they're doing drag. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I
The
didn't
burlesque
want to
watch?
commit to do the no eyebrows thing. I was too scared to do that.
Yeah. The only
Next
other
time,
thing
maybe.
I know about the end of the movie, which is we're skipping the part I don't enjoy, where Frank dies, and then they like they do the explanation of how they're cooing and leaving him. But then there's a song in the stage version called Superheroes. That's the last song, but they don't sing it in the movie. They just play the melody as the score overlaying when they do the globe spinning, and then it goes back to the narrator.
Well, I mean the part where Dr. Frankenfurter gets zapped and then Rocky gets zapped, yes, very sad. But I love the King Kong of it all, of him like climbing the tower.
Well, he's brought up Fay Ray like 3 times. I mean, like science fiction double feature says Fay Ray, and then he literally says Fay Ray, how he wants to be like Fay Ray, who was the girly from King Kong.
Yeah.
I googled that, but I was assuming as
Held
soon as
in
you
her
brought it
hand
up.
by King Kong. And then Rocky is King Kong, and that's what's happening. Wow. But
yeah,
I'm going home. I love it. I love his aria. I get really emotional.
It's just in the wrong place. I don't mind the song,
Yeah.
but that's not the right place for it in the show.
Fair. It does fuck up the momentum.
Yeah.
For sure. But
how else would they have ended it?
I think that you can move the pieces around a little bit.
I think for his
I have this
story
theory.
arc, it makes sense there, but for the overall like plot
Vibe.
and motion of the movie, it's
I have this theory that like everyone needs to hire me to be their editor because I just always have thoughts.
I agree.
And I have all these thoughts on how like unequivocally I can improve upon your story. And
okay.
Yeah. So
Danny, if we have stories, you'll be our editor.
Yeah. No holds barred. And I'm gonna give you the truth, which is I'm going home needs to move over here. You need to recreate the moment for why he's gonna sing I'm going home first, and then there's the floor show, and we're gonna end on a high note.
Yep. I love that. Oh God. It's just I love the part when he's crying and he wipes his makeup off with his hands. And I just love looking
Let
at
me
his
explain.
beautiful face. Anyway, what were you gonna say, Sydney? Sorry, just having it fit.
I literally don't remember anymore.
Well,
No.
but yeah, I mean, I think that kind of makes sense, that placement, in the sense of like, if you're giving him more, not agency, because obviously he's kind of running the whole show for the most part. But if he's the one deciding, like, okay, Rocky doesn't really like me and he's running off with Janet, and Janet likes Rocky, and Brad maybe likes me, but do I really like Brad? And like Columbia, like he's run through all of his people basically. And I think it would kind of make sense for him to be like, I'm from another planet. I've traveled to a bunch of places. I live my hedonistic lifestyle in all of these places until I burn out my stay there. And then I have to move on somewhere else. So, like, you could have a moment where he's deciding for himself, it's time to go home. I'm going to take all these people with me. He could sing it while they're still statues, maybe. And then he demojuices them to be like, we're all going. And then
I'm
have
taking
their,
all
like,
you bitches with
yeah,
me.
they have their like Overtaken by Lust songs poolside moment where they're all fucking on top of each other.
Oh my God.
And then
Oh,
they're
I
just
love the pool
abducted.
orgy.
But I
Yeah.
did like him having like this plaintive plea to Riff Raff and Magenta, because that, like, the turn on him, while it makes sense given his behavior towards everyone around him, that people would turn on him and try to do a coup. Like, you don't really see much of that coming until all of a sudden they're like, actually, we're not on your side and we don't work for you, and we're in charge around these parts and we have these chic ass outfits. Like, that kind of comes out of nowhere. So I think you need something to kind of like ground the audience a little, but it could be something big and flashy. You know what I mean? They could have like a whole big number there, maybe.
Yeah, I don't need to. Why mess with perfection? I don't need to move anything around. I just feel like the aria "I'm going home" is a bummer, and you know the betrayal. They move through the like betrayal, you know, like Riff's outbursts, like me is so
that was so funny. The real Riff comes out.
You know, really like Riff's therapy session. Like, how long has Riff been holding on to that, like trying to say those words? And it's
I did that whole dance for you. Do you remember the time warp?
Yeah. You're just watching it and you're like, oh, is that what this movie's about? Like
Riff feels left out.
You gotta appreciate the people in your life, you guys. That's the real takeaway here.
Riff for granted.
And if that isn't queer storytelling at its finest, I don't know what it is.
Oh my God.
Okay, wait. I loved the ending with the globe. I think it is so cool and beautiful. And I love the criminologist. Like, it fades to black almost with just the globe. But then you get a moment of light again as he's like walking out of the room before the door closes and it's back to black. But I was watching the credits and there was something in there that I'm curious if anybody knows anything more about. There is like a disclaimer in there that says the characters portrayed in this film are entirely fictitious and bear no resemblance to anyone living or dead. Is that about like Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie? Maybe, I guess, is my guess now that you've told me that,
a lot of times at the end of movies.
That's so interesting because to me that feels so like Law and Order SVU, where obviously they have to say it because they're doing so many ripped from the headlines things that are so clearly about real people but fictionalized.
I've just seen that in a lot of movies. I think people do that just to like cover their asses. Just be like, you can't say.
Actually, it's not
Mick
you.
Jagger,
so
you can't say that's me.
Yeah.
Bowie can't say that's me.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely like an IP copyright protection thing. I think Monica's right. It reminds me of like back in the VHS days, or maybe they did this on DVD too, but there was that like warning that played at the very front that was like, from the FBI. If you record this, you're breaking the law. Like, I think it was kind of like that.
FBI here, in your house, and I will take you to jail
Yeah.
right now.
You remember that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what
yeah.
you're talking about. It's good to remember that you could be taken away by the FBI at any moment. Piracy
Yeah.
is a crime.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Piracy is a crime. That was another one of those ads that played.
Exactly.
You wouldn't
Okay,
download
well,
a car, would
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. I wouldn't. You're right.
No, I don't know
but
how, but I would.
I don't know how. Get
I,
the
I would
3D
absolutely download a
printer.
car. Is it a nice
think
car?
Is it a Tesla? Is it time for our segments?
Segmentos.
I'm ready for that.
I think it's time. How could Rocky Horror Picture Show be gay?
Girls could kiss.
Yes,
They
I
could
think that would help.
just
that would help. You're getting
like,
a lot of guy on guy.
show
Yeah.
sex. I think
Yeah,
that would be
that's
it.
true.
Yeah.
Like
I do
think
think
that's
there
the
are a
only
lot
way
of-
it could be gay.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I mean, obviously there are a lot of funny pre-existing gay moments in Rocky Horror. Like, what am I saying? But I love like a lot of the subtle touches. Like I love the water being rainbow in Rocky's tank as he's being like awakened. And I love that like right before they blast off in the castle at the end, there's like the rainbow over it. I think they do a lot of just like little things just to
I
be
love
like,
that.
you can't escape that this is super, super gay. We're gonna remind you every chance we get. And I think
Mhm.
that's important. But I do think Brad is gay. I don't think he's bisexual. I think it's all compet. I think he's full gay. And I think like he doesn't seem that interested in Janet to me for the most part.
He's even
I
like,
feel like he's
damn
going
it,
through the motions.
I've got to
you
marry
know what
you.
I mean? Yeah, he's like, this is what comes next. Betty and Ralph or whoever just got married, so I guess we're up. You did literally just catch the bouquet, so I guess I'll propose right now. But I really feel like he is full gay. And I feel like he would love to be a drag queen, based on that scene at the end. So I wish that for him now that he's free to go out and explore his life. I do feel Columbia and Magenta are girlfriends. I think we could have gotten more like girly moments from Janet. But I don't know, maybe she's not into women. Maybe she's just into like non-binary people, men, maybe trans people kind of generally. I feel like she's not like super sapphic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't get a big sapphic vibe from her.
She's like a slut. Like I feel like she would do it. You know what I mean? But she's not like she's not going for it necessarily.
Well, that's the thing. This movie contains multitudes. So even though the question is how could it be gayer, I think that Janet's evolution is how could this movie be sluttier? And Janet really is her inner slut. And in some ways, that's a really parallel queer experience.
Embrace your
To get
sexuality.
sluttier, yes.
Yeah, embrace your sexuality.
Don't be ashamed of your sexuality. Unlock your sexuality.
Dream
Come
it.
into your
Don't dream it.
sexuality.
Be it.
That's right, Monica. I
Yeah.
agree.
Cindy
I
said
think
it
that
too.
I think that Brad is I could use a little more like regardless of whatever the contents of that removed song, I think I want to see a little bit of Brad unpacking his hookup with Frank. I think we could use that. And really that's my only suggestion for how this movie could be gayer, because I think it does it. I want to give it kudos and I want to give it credit where it's due, and I think it does a really good job being gay on its own.
It's so
Of
good.
course. Of course.
It's so good. I need to watch this every year. Like I need to watch. I need to go to the Newark every year.
Well, Sydney
Like,
mentioned.
let's go.
Sydney mentioned seeing it outdoors, and I went to an outdoor screening in a park downtown last year, and it was so fun because we did all the.
Oh my God.
There was, I don't know if there was a shadow cast, but we were sitting really far away, so it was
Oh,
like
you
it
couldn't see
wasn't.
it? Okay.
But it was because we were outside, and me and my friend from college who I went with were doing all the call lines. We were sitting with like families sitting around us, and they were like super inappropriate. I was like, it was your choice to bring your 2-year-old here. I am not going to stop. Like, this is Rocky Horror.
Did they say
Rocky
that to
Horror
you?
is fine for a
No, they
2-year-old.
weren't like
I'm
giving
just
me dirty
saying.
looks or anything, but they were like, oh my God.
They're
They were-
scandalized.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was like,
honey,
I don't know if
welcome
you
to Rocky Horror Picture
knew-
Show.
They were like
Yeah.
laughing, but they were like, little Timothy.
Timmy, close your ears. Timmy needs to learn.
Exactly.
Timmy
You gotta
must
learn
learn.
sometime.
Timmy must be
Timothy here.
cultured.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you think Timothy is here to learn, if not this?
Yeah.
Exactly this.
We are pushing the gay agenda on young Timothy.
Yes,
Get
yes.
over it.
And it comes with
But-
a lot of inappropriate jokes, sometimes involving Nazis.
Yeah, well. So is the
Oh.
gay way. Okay, but when is Sinespia gonna nut up and do Rocky Horror?
I feel like
Not
they
up,
did.
Sinespia.
Look,
know.
like Sydney, if you're in town in October, I'll look up. I'm sure they're doing it again downtown. I'll look up the dates.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
and
love
they're
coming
doing
into
it at
town
the
in
Newark
October.
right now. Also, just want to say they're playing a movie the other day at the Newark when I biked by it, and it just was called Monica, and it felt very important to me. I don't know. I just wanted to say it. It said my name on the screen on the billboard where it usually says Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I was like, wow, it's my time.
Did you get a
for
selfie with
you.
it?
I didn't because I was riding my bike.
That
So
shouldn't
I-
stop you, Monica. Learn how to
really
multitask.
fast. I can't take pictures and ride at the same time. I have no center of balance. I'm lucky I stay up on the bike at any given time.
Gotta keep moving.
But we really got to take you, Chelsea. It's not scary. It's literally fine,
Okay.
and you will love it. You will really
Okay.
love it. It's
Okay.
totally
I
worth
don't
it.
care if you're
Do
scared.
they
I'm
have hot
embarrassed
dogs
that
for
haven't
you
seen it.
for the moment where
You're
Dr.
a
Frankenfurter says you're a
hot
hot
dog.
Yeah.
I think I bring some of the stuff. I don't really remember because it's been like
They used
3
to
years
sell
since I've gone.
the place
Kits,
that I
right?
used to go. Yeah, you could like buy kits with all the stuff in it.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's
And it would
happening.
also like give like a sheet to like so you could learn the
Mhm.
like callbacks and stuff like that. Which
Yeah,
is
I
so
mean,
nice.
before we move on to our next segment, yeah, I mean, obviously it's just like a very gay movie. But I appreciate that it like engages with a lot of queer culture at the time. It's moving queer culture forward. Like, I don't know, like it has Dr. Frankenfurter has, when he's wearing his like medical gown, he has the little pink triangle on him. And I mean, obviously that was also Nazi imagery that was really reclaimed by the gay community. But I don't know. I think the way that they embrace it and like what they're doing is just really cool and fun.
Yeah.
I have to fact check something about myself,
Okay.
but I think I saw it before college at the Newark because I don't have the virgin thing on my face in any of those pictures. And I was like, did I lie? I was like, I remember having it happen to me. So it's not true. I think I went senior year of high school and I think I was with Reese. I'm going to find the pictures because I remember having 25 cent written on my face.
I know. I want to find my pictures of me in fishnets.
Oh, I need to see you in fishnets.
Danny, if you find
But you had
those,
a
send them
great
our
pair of
way.
I
legs on ya.
will. I will.
They can go in our carousel of Rocky Horror.
Yes. Oh my God. So good. Okay. We got to move on to our next segment because already gay. We got there. Where would Matthew Lillard fit into Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I think
Brad.
he'd
I want him to be Brad.
Yeah, that would be good.
He'd be a great Frankenfurter.
He'd be a great Frank, I think.
He'd also just be iconic in the background as one of the Transylvanians doing the time warp. You know what I mean? I feel like he'd really nail the choreography. He'd be like a standout amongst the crowd. It'd be fun to like cut to him for reactions during like hot patootie and stuff like that as like Eddie is, you know, driving his bike up around and zooming into everybody. He'd be a great just like
What
face in the
about
background.
Riff? He'd be a good Riff. He's good being freaky.
I'm
I don't
trying
know
to
if I wanna
imagine
see
a
him
really
half
tall
bald.
riffraff.
I think that would work.
So
Think it would work because
lanky,
he'd
yeah.
be more like Lurch. From
Yeah, I was
Addams
gonna say
Family.
very lurch.
Yeah, it could work. He would look great with that little ponytail thing at the end.
True. It would make him even taller.
Yeah, be really beautiful. A little,
His little
crescent
curl.
moon ponytail.
Yeah.
Again,
Really nice.
I would like to hear him say the word patootie at some point.
That's the
So-
audition.
Yeah.
Patootie.
Done. You're in.
Give
You're
us-
cast.
Give us your
Wow,
best
thank you.
patootie.
Patootie.
I feel like he would also be a good Dr. Scott. You know what I mean? Like, I feel
Oh.
like he'd give us a lot
Oh, yeah.
of face in such a role where it's you don't necessarily have the freedom to be giving much else.
Well, I think
Oh, and then we
he
would
do a
get to
lot with
see.
just that.
that's
Yes,
what
and then
I
he would
want.
still have
leg.
the legs and the fishnet. What were you saying, Danny?
That's like one of the
That's
best
what I
parts.
want out of the Matthew Lillard addition into this movie is I want it to be in such a way where he's so it's like Colin Farrell as Penguin. Like he's so prosthetic up that he's unrecognizable. Like I could see him being Dr. Scott or the criminologist, just so
Yes.
laden with prosthetics that you just
They
would
put the
never
butt
know.
chin on him.
Yeah.
Just because we're bringing up cast and that, did anybody, I don't want to be mean because I love Laverne Cox, but it never should have happened from what I hear. Did anybody watch that thing
don't
where
think so.
Victoria Justice was Janet and Laverne Cox was Rocky?
Unfortunately, I think it immediately faded into the ether.
I didn't.
Well, no, I
watch
think
it.
Did,
fortunately.
however, watch the Glee episode.
Yeah, I watched the
Rocky
Glee
Horror.
episode.
I don't know if I did. I fell off Glee after season 2.
Mr. Shu
so-
casts himself in it, even though he's not a student. So I think he
That's
casts
on
himself
brand
as
for Matthew
Rocky,
Morrison.
doesn't he?
As
Yeah.
Rocky.
And then
That's
eventually
spicy.
it's Cord Overstreet.
Does he take his
does-
shirt
Which is
off in front
better.
of his students?
I am confident that he does, Danny.
That's
Of course he does.
inappropriate.
Cord is born
Yeah,
to
he's
be
Mr.
Rocky.
fucking
Yeah.
Shu.
Yeah.
He's the most inappropriate TV character that could possibly exist. He's the worst.
Cord is better casting.
Yes.
100%. He's got the
And
hair.
he's handsome. And
And I
he
saw him at a
seems
bar one time.
nice.
Just saying.
And Rocky should be nice. I mean, like what Dr. Frankenfurter says about he says it about Eddie is he says he had a certain naive charm but no muscle, so he's created Rocky to be the muscle. And he's still only getting half the brain. So I think you need like a sweet little himbo for that role. And Mr. Shu was not getting that.
No.
You definitely need a
Definitely
sweet little
not.
himbo. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And I thought Rocky looked so handsome once he got all grungy and dirty and his hair was not so hanging like bangs into his face.
I think he looked handsome even with the bowl cut.
Sure.
Okay, that brings us to the dumb bitch. Who's the dumb bitch of Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Rocky, I'm gonna say it.
Part of me wants to say
Yeah.
Brad.
Why, Brad? What's your
Love
pitch?
Brad.
Well, just in the very beginning, where they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna go into this strange house," and they're like, let's not." And Janet's like, "I don't know, we should leave." And Brad's like, "No, everything's gonna be fine." And then they strip them to their whitey tighties, and he's like, "Everything is fine.
He's
This is gonna be
so
okay."
unbothered, yeah.
But he's into it. He's like, this could go somewhere interesting. He's a little more open than Janet initially was. And then Janet was so eager beaver. Oh my God. She was
Yeah.
like, clap, 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 clap for everything Frankenfurter said.
Yeah, I mean, she is like straight up swooning right off the bat as soon as he shows up. And then he has that line, "I'm not much of a man, but I'm one hell of a lover," which is great. So, I mean, she's done
So
for her at that
good.
point.
I don't mean to
Yeah.
take the question so literally, but Rocky has half of a brain, so
That's true.
No.
he is the
He is
By
dumb.
that
the
logic,
dumbest.
Eddie should be equally dumb bitch.
Eddie is no longer alive.
But Eddie is also baby
Eddie's
girl.
dead.
So
Eddie
Rocky's
is
no
baby
longer
girl.
alive.
I
What do
love
you
how
mean?
everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so sad that Eddie is dead. But then they're like, but he actually like kind of sucked. He was actually like kind of bad. Like Dr. Scott was like, yeah, maybe it's for the best. He literally says maybe it was for the best.
Yeah.
He's
That's
just
his
a little
nephew.
punk.
Mhm. He just loved rock and roll and fucking. And that was pretty much it.
I mean, same.
Sure.
And motorcycles. And
When
motorcycles.
you put it that way.
They all love motorcycles.
I think
Yeah.
that it's a tie between I just think it's Rocky. I don't know. I think it's Rocky. I don't mean dumb bitch derogatory this time. I just mean
Dumb
he's
bitch
the silliest
affectionate.
Literal
boy.
dumb.
He
Yeah.
does his little shuffle whenever he walks.
It's the logical answer. Because
Yeah,
Brad
he's
was
both.
being a dumb bitch, but it was actually what he needed to kickstart his journey. So it was
It could also
kind
be
of smart in a
Riffraff
roundabout way.
and Magenta for murdering everybody.
Well, they only murdered 3 people. But they shouldn't have murdered
Only
Columbia. What was that
3.
about?
Yeah,
She
she
got
did nothing.
irritating.
She just went.
I did think
And then,
about
like,
should I do the
immediately-
Columbia voice this whole episode?
Oh my
And then
god.
I forgot, thank God.
Yeah, thank God, I have to
Oh
say.
yeah, thank God.
Wow. That would have been
Jesus
atrocious,
Christ.
Chelsea. Thank you for not doing
Well,
that.
dumb
Okay,
bitch
well-
to them a little bit for killing Columbia. I mean, sure, she was annoying, but also that was Magenta's girlfriend. So like, where's the loyalty?
Yeah,
I
we're
know. Well, everybody's does stupid stuff, but let's do dumb
It was-
bitch
it was Rick.
positive, not derogatory.
Dumb
and it's
bitch affectionate.
Rocky.
Affectionate.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
sweet little beautiful dumb bitch.
All right. Well, that brings us to Knives Out of 5. So, what is the critical reception of the film to this day?
It is beloved. It has a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. From critics on Rotten Tomatoes, it is 79% fresh, and from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes, it is 85% fresh. So it's just, it has really stood the test of time. Like we said, it debuted in theaters, and there are some theaters that really have been showing it pretty much ever since. There's one theater in Germany, I think. Yeah, the museum. Oh, am I gonna try to say this? The Museum Lichtspiel Cinema in München, Germany, has screened the movie every week since June 24th, 1977. So I don't know. It's just obviously it's a cult classic. Obviously it's beloved. The amount that it is still ever present in our culture, the way that you can still go find midnight showings all the time, I think is really cool and really crazy and really fun, because I don't think you really see that for almost anything else, kind of. I think it's really unique in that way. But very popular, very beloved, very successful, in all kinds of different ways.
Who wants to go first?
This movie rocks my socks. 5 out of 5. Honestly, 6 out of 5. This is
Yeah.
Giving it a 6, folks.
what? Yeah,
6.
it's incredible. This is a 6 out of 5.
I'm with Sydney. I mean, for me, it's a 5 out of 5 for all of the reasons we've already discussed.
Yeah. It's a 5 out of 5 for me too. And I just want to say that I fact checked and confirmed I saw this in March of 2011 when I was still in high school
Whoa.
at the Newark for the first time.
Crazy
So yeah, I
girl.
did one cool thing in high school, and this was it. But this movie left an indelible mark on me and my life, and I love
Pretty
it so
gay.
much. And
It clearly
I'm
did.
I'm so glad that we did it, because I haven't seen it since before the pandemic, and I have the memory of a goldfish, so I forgot how much it means to me. And so I love it. It's so good. I love you, Jim Curry. I love you so much. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a 5 out of 5 for me too. I just think there are so many fun moments. I love when a character breaks the fourth wall. I love how Janet is immediately so horned up for everybody. I love the moment where they say the names and it goes on for so fucking long with the Brad, Dr. Scott, Janet, that part I love. It just seems like a really smart film also, with all of its references and everything going on in the background. It's a visual feast. I just think it's really fun. They had a great time making it. I think that's really clear. And I think it's continues to be a great time for everyone everywhere, and will continue for the end of time, as it should.
Hell
The
yeah.
heat death of the universe comes only when Rocky Horror Picture Show stops playing.
And it never will.
Rocky forever, baby.
Seriously. God, what a way to kick off fucking Pride Month, bitch. Damn. 10 out of 10. Thank you, Sydney, for sacrificing for the betterment of the pod. Because Sydney wanted to do this for her birthday last year, and we
moved it because we were like,
and this
this
was
is
better.
She did something else for her birthday, I think, but
well, of course,
this got bumped. It was on our Pride roster last year, but then we were like, well, if we're gonna have Danny on for it, and we're having him on for Nightmare on Elm Street, we've got to space him out a little.
We'll do it for my birthday, and then we did again. Poltergeist, and we were like, well, we'll do it back for Pride again.
We'll circle back to Pride. Yeah, Danny comes on every Pride. You're gonna have to think about what you want to do next year, I guess.
I appreciate you guys delaying for me, and we'll have to think of a third gay movie for us to watch together.
I don't know how we're gonna do it.
Not a third.
Not a third.
Well, somehow we'll have to find something gayer than this. It's not gonna happen.
If it's possible.
Maybe they'll make something gayer than this in the next year, and we can cover something new. Wow.
A new gay.
Who knows? A new gay has entered the arena. Well, speaking of new gay, I didn't plan that. I really didn't. But this is a newer gay movie that we're moving on to next week. It's a movie that only I have seen. It is a contentious one, but I think that it is going to be a fun one to discuss on this pod with this group of folks. It is They/Them 2022. Danny, have you seen it?
I did. I watched it right when it came out.
So did I. Yeah. Well, you and I, let's chat and we can guess how these folks are gonna react.
I'm curious.
Not sure.
Everyone's in for a treat.
Curious.
Everyone's in for a treat.
Good treat, bad treat, Danny.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I mean, like, it's like, full on confronting many topics. The like, wow, can I speak English? The way in which it does it, is it good? Is it bad? Only time will tell. And a 2-hour discussion on Spooky Tuesday next week. Tune in. It'll be an interesting one. I there's a lot to love about it, and there's a lot to go,
Okay.
And there's Kevin Bacon. Come on, you can't be mad. There's Kevin Bacon.
Sure.
It's gonna be fine. But anyway, Danny, is there anything that you want to tell our listeners?
No.
This is your time.
Don't dream it, be it, everyone.
Oh God, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful, and it would sound so good if it was written as the title of a 5-star review for us on Apple Podcasts. Don't you think, Danny?
Yeah. Don't just say it, sign it on Apple.
Exactly.
Podcasts.
Also, last year, I think we accepted boyfriend applications for you via Apple Podcast review. So is that still open?
If you missed your shot last year.
Still accepting on rolling applications.
We're still having rolling applications at this time. The deadline is not passed quite yet. So get them in early, soon, rolling.
And here's the thing, Danny, find that picture of you in fishnets.
That's right.
Applications will
There
be
we go.
pouring in.
There we go.
Wow. That'd be really good for us if you could find that picture, and then people can only submit through 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
It would really help the pod. So thanks.
I think it's a win-win for all involved.
And also, why not follow us on social media while you're at it? We're at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. We're also and YouTube, and we're also on Facebook and Tumblr at Spooky Tuesday Pod, and we're on Letterboxd at Spooky Tuesday. And as I always say, Danny, don't you always hear me saying this? You're gonna hear me say it, and you're gonna say, she always says that. And I think you should say right after I say it, yeah, she always says that. As I always say, thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday. Cue
Bye,
Danny.
Spookies.
She always says that.
Thank you.
So crazy. She always says that.
It's not easy having a good time.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.